Hi, I'm Vanya Buvac. I organize the speaker series for Make Philly. And today I'm interviewing Don Miller, also known as No Carrier, who gave a wonderful talk at the January meeting of Make Philly. Don, can you give us a brief summary of your talk?
Yeah, my talk centered around the Nintendo Entertainment System, or the NES, which is pretty much obsolete home video game console. And it's primarily what I use to do live performances and installation video art. And I told people how I do what I do, how the NES actually works as far as graphics, and if they were interested in it, how they could hack their NES or do kind of what I do on their own.
No Carrier.
Yeah.
How'd you come up with the name and what does it mean?
Well, No Carrier is a message that many old nerds have seen hundreds of thousands of times. It's the log off message when you would log off the BBS or bulletin board system. And I usually use my name in all caps because the message was displayed in all caps. And it's something that I like because I use it as a handle in those days. So it's something that I feel comfortable using. And at the same time, I don't know, it's just, yeah, I guess it's something I've always been attracted to. And I think in a way it's linked to a broader computer culture. So I thought it was fitting.
And how did you first get interested in using old computer consoles to make video art?
Well, it's funny because, for so many people involved, and I guess I could say in the New York scene here, for example, I think they all started years ago, and somehow some of them found each other and began working together. And I was a latecomer to all of this. And I had heard of a gentleman named Nintendo, Jeff Donaldson, who does NES video art, but he uses circuit bent Nintendos, which they're amazing looking, and what they do is great. And I was like, wow, I really like that, and I had seen him perform before, and I said, there needs to be more people doing video, for these chip musicians, and they're all using real hardware. And what I didn't want to see was people using, state-of-the-art computers, doing cheesy-looking graphics of Mario, ignoring musicians who really take themselves seriously. So I said, I'm going to start using consoles. I like what Jeff did with the circuit bending, but far too neurotic for that. So I said, I'm going to learn how to program for the NES to make video, to, kind of get into it a little bit. And I was definitely inspired by what people have done in the past at demo parties across Europe and with Commodore 64s and other consoles. And I was like, a lot of people don't really do this with the NES. A lot of the development scene is centered around emulation and not much creation. So I, kind of set out to do it because of that.
And what do you think attracts your audience to this form of art?
I would say initially for a large number of people it's nostalgia. They say, oh wow, I remember that Nintendo. And they see the NES or they see the controller when I'm out at a show, or they see Game Boys that musicians are performing on at shows, and it's something they remember. But I think for a lot of people, especially the performers and some of the fans, it's a lot deeper. I think they're attracted to the sounds, the images, the aesthetic of 8-bit culture.
We're doing this interview at the Multimedia Gallery at the University of the Arts. One of your pieces is displayed behind you.
Yes.
How did this show come about, and is this a new thing for you?
It's a very new thing for me, actually. This UArts gig really popped up. I say popped up because it almost seemed like one thing after another was happening. I met Will Lindsay, who put this show together, and I think it just lends itself to that scene. There's people interested as part of the scene. There's people interested in promoting shows. There's fans. There's musicians, and I think this show came about really just because of connections, in that scene, and I'm thrilled that it has.
Someone who sees your art and says, I want to do this, what piece of advice could you give them?
I guess don't take any shortcuts because I think the biggest part of art whether it's video or whether it's music on old consoles or old computers, is using that console or that computer. You know, and I can go home and probably whip up some graphics that look pretty flashy on my Windows PC in a short amount of time, but it's never going to look the same, and I don't think people are going to view it the same. So I think, you know, don't take shortcuts, and really try to learn everything you can, and that's kind of what I did with the NES, and definitely my advice.